Hey, brother.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Hey, Alec, how are you, brother?
All right.
First, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Success Secrets Revealed interview series. It's a live TV series, and we're blessed to have with us today Alec Stern, who it's also his birthday, by the way. So thank you for both blessing us with your presence, knowledge, experience, and skill, but it's on your birthday. So we sincerely appreciate that, brother.
My pleasure.
I'm hard pressed to believe that anybody who's on my feed would not know who Alec Stern is, but I'm going to read you a short bio just in case. Alec Stern is an entrepreneur, speaker, mentor, and inventor. He has become known as America's startup success expert for performing hundreds of keynote speeches worldwide and for his popular sessions at top conferences like Secret Knock, CEO Space International, City Summit, Powerteam International, and Habitude Warrior. He's been a co-founder or founding member of 8 startups with 5 exits, 2 IPOs, and 3 acquisitions. As a primary member of Constant Contact's founding team, Alex was one of the original 3 who started the company in an attic. Alec was one of the company's Alec was with that company for 18 years from startup to IPO to its 1.1 billion acquisition. Alec was selected to the Influence 100 Authority list by Influence magazine. In 2020, he was a 2-time Visionary Award winner at top conferences for his success as an entrepreneur and for his work helping startups and entrepreneurs. Welcome, Alec.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
Thank you. And I've known you for quite a while, and I know you're a rock star. And again, thank you so much for being here on your birthday. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself that wasn't just in your bio?
Yeah, sure. Any way to put it on full screen?
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right.
And split it. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit about myself. Let's see. I was born in Boston. My mom was from Boston, dad from New York, but we were living in Connecticut. So I came up here with my mom to have me and my sister both separately. And so I lived in Boston for 5 days and moved back to Connecticut and was there till 13. Then we moved to New Jersey. After high school in New Jersey, I went up to Syracuse University and then came to Boston after college. And since the age of 8, visiting cousins and relatives in Boston, I said, one day I want to live in Boston. And that dream came true, our vision came true, I should say, right out of college. So.
Nice. I'm not sure you can hear me right now, but
I can.
Was ask you now, this may or may not be business related, but I'm sure a lot of the fans want to know. Since you went to school in New York, Syracuse, but now you live in Boston, we are hoping that you are a Boston Red Sox fan opposed to a Yankees fan.
Now your listeners in New York won't want to hear the answer.
They don't count. No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. In this world that we live in today, we're all one. So I grew up a Yankee fan and had a lot of access to the Yankees, neighbors. PR director for the Yankees lived close, and a bunch of the players were in my town, and my dad had some ties into the team, and so I had a lot of access. And in fact, one of my favorite mementos is that I have a signed ball to Alec from the whole team, including Thurman Munson, before he passed in the plane crash. So when I moved to Boston, from where I live, I can hear at Fenway, I can hear the cheering, so I can run down and see a replay if I missed it. And I just thought I can't root for a team, 9 times a year, where I can obviously see a team 80 plus times a year potentially. So I just became a local town supporter long before they won, long before anyone had that hope. We all had the dream, but I don't know about the hope. But I'm a fan of both, and when they play each other, it's it's a good rivalry that I support, sort of, wholeheartedly.
I love that. I love it. And I had to go there. Sorry, it had nothing to do with business, but just wanted to, bring it all back home. But you live right on Comm Ave and Mass Ave, right in Boston, right in the Back Bay, or right by Copley Square and Prudential Building, right in the heart of things. You're also you're doing consistently speaking at events in and around Boston as well as around the country. But what kind of drives you at this point? You've had massive success. You could easily go to an island, buy a couple of condos, right? You, the one you live in, and a couple around you so nobody could bother you, and live in peace. But you spend probably about 30% of your time just giving back to other business owners, entrepreneurs, and startups. I mean, that's huge. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's actually half my time, and so it's paying it forward. The speaking at conferences are not new to me because when I had Constant Contact, going out and doing thought leadership talks at massive conferences all over. I was very used to doing that and the best practices in thought leadership side of things, and started telling the founding story. It gave me an opportunity to go out and speak at in front of small businesses still, but also a lot of startups and entrepreneurs. And I just remember when I would attend conferences and even ones that I was speaking at, back in the day, there would be a speaker that I wanted to potentially go up to or chat with, or thank them, or give a card and say, any chance we could talk offline. I think we could maybe do some business together. And oftentimes they would speak and be whisked away and never get any access to them. And so I just always said to myself that if one day I get asked to speak, at conferences and, to motivate and, kind of accelerate the audience, then, I'd be the first one to arrive, last to leave. And I've been recognized for that, for being present, because it's really important, one, to, just engage with the audience and get to know them, but also hear the other speakers and the messages they're delivering, and oftentimes, tweak my message to take into consideration some of the things that have been said to that point, in the conference. And so it's really a pay it forward. I figure if I can help a startup get going and motivate them to get going, or if I can help that startup or an existing sort of business, help it scale or figure out a way to scale it, raise the water level for all startups and small businesses, and help those entrepreneurs, then I feel I've done my part in paying it forward.
I think that's huge, Alec. I really do. And you're coming from such a quality base. When you're coming, I mean, when somebody has graduated from college or some trade school, they have, I want to say book smarts, and I don't mean to diminish that. It's important. But you, with your multiple startups, when you actually come in there and you're speaking, you've had so many of the trials and tribulations that people who are embarking on this course are going to go through. So when you come up there and you speak, I mean, it's a godsend for people to help them. Not only once they can see what's coming, then maybe they can navigate through it too. So kudos to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, it's always exciting to see speak and then, have someone come up, all wide-eyed, that they picked up something that they thought would help be a breakthrough for them, or speak to them and understand what's the obstacle or the roadblock, and try to work through that with them. And sometimes in minutes, we can find that maybe the course that they're on with their business is good, but adjacent to that, and just slightly to the side of that, might be the bigger opportunity that they just hadn't seen because they're really just caught up in the tactics. So stepping back and looking at things strategically and trying from a objective perspective, not tied to it, not emotional to it, just looking at it for what it is, oftentimes can lead to a breakthrough, which when those moments happen, that's makes it so rewarding.
I love it. I love it. And that's also because sometimes people, when they're starting their business, or they can just be so focused on what's in front of them that there might be a larger picture that they're just not seeing. And then somebody like you with your experience coming in, detached from it mentally and emotionally, can just see it as it is and point these things out. So I think that's huge.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and as they do. There is a kind of like a folk story, you know what I mean? I remember one time that you were sitting in the audience and you heard Bill Walsh speaking, giving credit to your company, and you actually went up there and spoke to him, and then from there you went on to speak at some of those events too.
Yeah. So as the story goes, the small business expos, which I didn't know Bill prior. I knew his name and knew of him, but didn't know him. But I had a friend who was starting a business, and I said, "Let's go to the expo. There'd be some good content. We'll bop into some of the sessions. Walk the exhibit hall and so forth." And so we spent half a day doing so, and then at the end there was the Bill was doing a VIP executive session for all attendees. In a packed room, 500 plus people, and so I said to my friend, we're here. Let's just hang out. Let's go hear Bill. And so we did so, and he mentioned not less than 5 to 10 times, Constant Contact and how great Constant Contact is. And halfway through his talk, he took a break. And so I went up, people were lining up to say hi to him. So I got in line and went up to say hi. And I said, "Hey, Bill, you talk often of Constant Contact and praise it so much. I'm just curious, are you an affiliate or are you associated with them in any way?" He said, "No, I'm a customer. I've had great success. I tell everyone that I work with and train and coach, and he's got a real large network." He said, "I tell them all that they should be using Constant Contact." And I said, "Well, I just got to tell you from the bottom of my heart as a co-founder, I just want to thank you." And he's, he was off mic, and we worked it out. He flipped the mic up and said, "Everyone, I just want to introduce you to, Alec Stern, co-founder of Constant Contact. Why don't we all come up, take photos?" So we had a long line of people wanting to take photos with, Bill and I, and then he had asked me to come up on stage, so I spent a few minutes up on stage. We met the next day for lunch. And then that next evening, he had another event in Boston. So I went and spoke at that. And he said, "You have a spot on my stages." So I've since gone on and spoke on many of his larger events, which are great for startups and small businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bill. And 2 quick things. One, that's how I met you.
That's right.
He was speaking. It wasn't called 2020 at that time, right? He has Inspiration 2020. It was some other event at night at one of the hotels, like a 6 to 9 event, and you were there. And and that's how I met you. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And then as I went on the circuit, I'm a big fan of Bill Walsh and what he does as well too. And I've been to many of his events, and so I'm grateful because I got to meet you through him. And also, I went to one of those expos like 5, 6 years ago. And when he was in that big room towards the end of the day, you're right, like 500, 600 people there. It was crazy. But he was talking. I was actually in the front row, and he was talking, and he was giving away a free ticket, hotel accommodations to an event in Las Vegas. His big, where the tickets are like $5,000 and stuff to the event. They rent out a whole nightclub and everything. It's a big to-do. And I was right there. Boom! I threw my hand up. I won a ticket, and that's how I got into that, because that was pretty much the first time I became aware of him myself. And so I won that ticket, and then that started me down that path. So. Got a free ticket. I was posted, "Hey, I just won a free ticket to an event in Las Vegas."
That's great. Actually, I was a speaker at that event. I remember it.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. So I just wanted to bring you on and talk, but I want to hear a little more from you, if you don't mind. If somebody is starting, like let's have like 3 tips. And I'm going to probably ask all the guests on the show this too, right? But like 3 tips. What can somebody who is a business owner, he's an entrepreneur, wants to be a business owner, or already is a business owner and wants to scale? What are like 2 or 3 things, and it could be the same tip for all of them, but what are like 2 or 3 things that they could do to just increase their ability to be successful and decrease some of the problems associated with life?
Yeah, no, it sounds good. So I'll every time I speak, I'll ask the question: How many of you in the room know the one core thing that you're going to focus on? And if you focus on that, that'll drive toward your success. So you have that one core thing. How many know what that is? And then show of hands, it's about 5% of the room raises their hand. I'll assume 10% of the room is afraid to raise their hand because they think I'll call on them. So let's say 15%. So that means 85% of the people haven't figured out that one core thing yet. And so it's really, really important to let's just say if you had a dartboard, what's the bullseye on the dartboard that you're going to focus on? And so we often have what I call the bicycle wheel syndrome. And that's where if you had a bicycle wheel and every spoke on the wheel was another idea, that you wanted to offer to your target market. We all have that bicycle wheel syndrome where we just want to do it all. And so I'd often say, what's the one spoke you're going to start with? Because if you figure out the one core thing, you know exactly your target market, and that has to be very granular. Oftentimes someone will say, well, I want to sell to small businesses. And there's just not an alignment. Is it the small businesses on Main Street, or is it more medium businesses, in some cases even large? What's the real sort of focus in terms of the target market? And once you know the target market, you know exactly what you want to offer, then you're going to sort of charge forward. And so if you have success with that, I'll then ask the audience what will come of it. And people will say, you'll have success, or just sort of general responses. But the bottom line is you would then have feedback, because you've got someone using your offering and they're going to give you feedback early on. You're going to have you're going to get success stories or testimonials. You're going to get potentially revenue. Then revenue drives the ability for you to hire more people, and then hire more people that you do more, kind of accelerate and do more on different aspects of your business, and kind of that flywheel gets going. And so I would always just say, know that one core thing. Related to that is that, then take that core thing out to your target market and get feedback. So get feedback as early as possible from that target market. And we oftentimes hear people say that I'm in stealth mode. Get out of stealth mode, get out of, keeping it a secret. You've got to take this out to your target market. And you've got to get that brutal, honest feedback. And the only way you'll get brutal, honest feedback is if you don't go to people people you did business with, people you're related to. Go to total strangers and see if they're willing to take the offering. First ask, what are your goals and objectives, or what are your pain points, or where are the places where you want to see, you need maybe some assistance, or need to accelerate some things. And then show them what you have. And if they get wide-eyed and say, this could actually help me, then you're onto something. And so, in the case of Constant Contact, which most people know, we went out to the small businesses and asked them, and they said, we want to stay top of mind to our current customers. We want to drive our current customers back in. We want new people to come in. So, our current customers telling others, referrals. We want revenue. And so when we showed them what we were able to do to achieve some of those kind of goals or wants, then they got wide-eyed. And so, for us, it was that one core thing was email marketing. Target market was very small business, so on Main Street around the world. And it was an offering to level the playing field for those small businesses against the big competitors who had enterprise tools, they had agencies, they had resources, and the small business really didn't have much at all. And so it was just really kind of giving them that easy-to-use self-service tool to solve the problem. So the first thing is one core thing, and get out early and often to test your target market as sort of one of those tips.
I love it. And that seems to me to be very important. One, because you're going to stay in your lane. You're not going to be fragmenting off and getting lost in the sauce, so to speak, but then going out there and getting that feedback. What are our actual needs? Not what you think we need, not what you want to provide the world, but what does the world actually need? What problem can you solve that's actually a problem for people on a scale large enough that you'll be able to fill it, make money on the top side. When you first started, how many right now people subscribe to Constant Contact? I know you guys sold out north of $1 billion. Yes, I said $1 billion, not a couple of 100 million. At the end, roughly, how many subscribers did they have to Constant Contact?
Yeah, so well, when we sold, we had about 750,000 paying customers. Others were trialers, and in the free level of the service. We had 1,500 employees. We had 8,000 partners that were promoting and marketing Constant Contact in one way or another to their base, and it was roughly about $450 million in annual sales. So average customer paid $42 a month. So it was very low budget. but we had enough of them to amass, a lot in revenue. So that flywheel initially it's tough to get that going, and it looks insurmountable at the beginning when you're like, at the time when we started, it started at $15 a month. I went out and got 4 customers to get that feedback, and brutal honest feedback, because it was early before we were done with the product.
Yep.
And then once we tweaked it and got it going, and we figured out sort of that go to market model, which at the time, I guess the second point, you asked for 3 points. The second point would be about where's your target customer hanging out. So it was me, myself, and I when we started, and there were 3 of us, right? So two techies and myself, and so I couldn't go door to door, going and closing small businesses around the world. But we had to find out where were they hanging out, and that's the channel in our business. So where's the channel in your business is kind of the second point, to figure out, where's your target customer hanging out, and who can bring those target customers to you versus you having to go get them yourselves. And so I would challenge everyone that there's at least 15 categories of channel partners that would allow you to get access to your target market. And the one everyone shares is association and member orgs. So no matter what your business is, there are association and member orgs supporting what you do. And so they're local, they're regional, they're national, they're big formal associations with events and thought leadership and best practices, as well as networking groups and all kinds of things to your target market. And as I mentioned, when we ended selling Constant Contact, we had over 8,000 channel partners. And
wow.
one thing people don't know is when we started, we were 100% channels. So as I said, I went and got four of those first customers that we could use as case studies and so forth. And then we went out and landed, started landing a variety of different channel partners that just could expose us, co-market, refer us, co-market us, bundle us, integrate us, promote us. All different types of partners. And most of what a lot of the association and member orgs wanted was thought leadership and best practices. So everyone's sitting out there, 85% of the time you're basically taking an existing idea, product or service, and just executing it better because it can be done better. And 15% or so is the ideas that never existed before, like Constant Contact, Uber, Facebook, Airbnb, et cetera. And so just in taking your product out there, that oftentimes, through what you're doing is you're doing something different. So package it up to talk about the best practices or thought leadership that you're now offering, and figure out how to present that forward, because all the associations and member orgs would love to have you speak to help your target market that are members of theirs.
I love it. And like with the channel partners, it's one of the things that I try to do. I also, with my clients, I speak to them about that. If you can find someone who's connected to your ideal customer or client, form a relationship with them. Whatever it is, maybe in my case, it might be some free online marketing services so they can see what I do, attest to it personally, and then they can talk about it to a business attorney, a CPA. All these type of people are connected to my ideal client, but then also my clients all need at some point an attorney and a CPA if they don't have one. So to me, that's a great way of scaling people's businesses, is to use channel partners. I'd like to go back. I mean, you started with 3 people who founded the company. Then you went to 4 clients. Then at the end, you had 1,500 employees and 750,000 paying monthly subscribers. But every single one of those 750 monthly subscribers was a business owner or an entrepreneur whose business got better, who, they reached out, they provided, they served more, right? And by serving more, they helped their customers and clients, but they also made more money, and it helped them, their business, their family. So kudos to you. I mean, you really helped a ton. Those numbers aren't just numbers. I mean, those are people behind that. So
So just to clarify, so there were 3 of us in an attic, original founder Randy had an idea, and then it morphed into what became Constant Contact. Margaret was our software architect, and really both were just incredible on the technical side, but also had a good grasp of sort of business. Oftentimes folks that are technical may not be crossing over to really understand sort of the business aspects. And Randy and I had also worked with small businesses prior. Startups prior were tied to small businesses for me, and we just had to move up forward on the marketing side. And kudos to 1,500 of us. I mean, that's honestly wasn't any. The old African proverb of if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. So this is kudos to every single one of the 1,500 and an amazing management team and others that really drove kind of the goals and objectives, our mission, our vision, everything forward. And that led to all that success. But it was customer driven, right? Delight the customer, wow the customer. We were doing everything we could to help the customer, but it really was on them to, if we lived into our mission to help them succeed, then they would see success as well. And so it was a group effort, across our customers, our employees, our partners, and all the folks that were involved. Yep.
And didn't you also have like give backs, like nonprofits? They got it for free or something?
Yeah, we had a Cares for Kids program, and what that was that any employee, any customer, any partner could nominate a nonprofit focused on education programs for kids, and we would donate a free account. We would ask the person that sponsored them, if you will, to help them initially. They were obviously in a lot of cases customers, so they had experience, and we asked that they share their knowledge and expertise and assist them as well, just to make sure that nonprofit would succeed. And we also, for those that weren't exactly into the programs for kids, we had a great discount program to just make it even more affordable. I mean, it started at $15 a month, so now I think it's at $20 is the lowest. I think the lowest tier, something like that. So it's very affordable.
Yeah,
but we still discounted it.
That's four cups of coffee at $5. I mean, Starbucks.
That's 2 Starbucks these days.
True, because you got to go with somebody, right?
If you get the grande, mocha, latte, macchiato, combo, whatever, it's probably $12.
Whipped cream, and you know what I mean? You want nuts on that?
That's right.
Is that a coffee or a frap? You know what I mean?
It's breakfast and lunch, yeah.
Exactly. I wonder how many calories are in it, by the way. But
I don't drink them, and I don't care to just for that reason alone.
Yeah, but there's another success story. They started out in Seattle with like 1 or 2 shops, and now it's like, here we are joking about them, right? So, I mean, they're embedded in you spoke about innovation earlier, and I love that mentality. One of my things I like to tell my clients is make your products obsolete or somebody else will. Right. And some great examples that, we all go back to because people can relate to them is Netflix went to Blockbuster. Blockbuster said, no, we don't need you. We got this. Basically, it's not a verbatim recitation, but we know how that went, right? And same with like Uber and Lyft. I mean, there was a taxi system in place, very expensive, and more so than the Ubers and Lyfts. And maybe for some people it wasn't convenient or could have been done in a better way. So when people see these things and they can see something that already exists, if they can do it in a different or a better way, they'll meet resistance. You know what I mean? These other big industries might have lobbyists and stuff and come up with laws against you. But can you speak a little bit about that, about innovating, especially now? I mean, I kind of want these episodes to not be like date sensitive so we can just live on in infamy. But right now we're going through the COVID issue. And a lot of people have now, their whole worlds and their businesses have shifted. Some have, grinded almost to a halt, and others have just shifted. But if they can innovate, see it as a way of changing things, maybe going forward, it won't be as bad as they currently think it is. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things mixed into that. So the first one is around kind of in the state of what we have going on today, and so prayers out to everyone that those that are the families of those that have passed, and then those that are fighting through it. And unfortunately, I have several folks in my life that are dealing with it, and it's not pretty. And so hats off to all of the folks that are caring for them to help them get through it. So I'd say with what's going on today. I'm spending a lot of my time, during the day talking to startups and to small businesses and asking them, they're asking the tough questions. What do I do now? My business is ground to a halt. So the bottom line is that, I challenge them a little bit about how much are you in the tactics, in the weeds versus looking at strategy. And the majority are in the tactics. I mean, every day they're just grinding through, working on everything. And they hadn't really had a chance to step back and look at the business strategically and seeing are they truly maximizing the opportunity or is it just really the tactical motions that they're going through? And so what I found with several is that a minor tweak to what they're doing today, something slightly adjacent to kind of the core thing they're focused on is leading to opportunity that could be potentially the equal or greater than what they were experiencing prior. And some have had to shift, with the sort of into how they're serving their target market and finding ways to get access to them as we see it today. And then, figuring out kind of what's this, the sort of the opportunity that's in front of them that they didn't see. And so all of them have found something that allows them to, kind of now you have an opportunity to get in front of folks a lot easier today because most are sheltered in home, if not all. I hope all, so we can end this thing. But now that they're home, you could get access to folks. You could have conversations. They're a little bit more relaxed to listen because they're not caught up in their own day-to-day stresses and all the stuff that they're working on. So my suggestion was that if you're coming up with something or you have a new idea or a twist to what you were doing before, you can go back to your target customer. You can go to existing customers, you can get their feedback. You can ask them, for potentially new people that aren't working with you to get their feedback. And everyone seems to be, very excited to want to, have these conversations. And it's funny when I'm reaching out to people about some of the stuff that I'm working on, they're very open and receptive to talk today, just because it seems like we have a bit more free time because we don't have the distractions of if you took the distractions of the day away from when you're kind of in office or in your business or with coworkers, we're always finding the water cooler chats and the extended lunches and, all kinds of things that just that time alone would give you enough time to test out these new things. And so it's really an opportunity. And I'd say use this kind of as an opportunity to step back and look at it strategically. The second thing is just around just innovation in general. And so, I'll always ask at conferences, how many people in the room think you're an innovator? And I'd say another 5-10% of the room raises their hand. And then I'll ask how many of you in the room in any day, week, month, see a product or service and say, that could be done better. Or in delivery of a service or seeing a product, maybe how it works, or God, imagine if it had this attachment or if it did these things as well. And so those are opportunities, right? And so if you take an idea and you start to noodle on it, you share it with others, you maybe pull others in to kind of work on it with you, you move from being someone who had an idea to someone who's an innovator. And so oftentimes, ideas are spawned out of those experiences, especially given the majority of businesses today are something that's already in existence, but someone's coming out with something to execute on it better. And so innovation starts at, kind of at the grassroots of ideas, and then vetting those ideas, getting feedback, going to your target customers, and then getting others to potentially help you, work on it and so forth. And then thus, businesses are formed.
I love it, man. I love it. Seeing something and finding a better way. And I like how you made it a little more simpler for people too. Maybe it's an add-on. So maybe it's not reconstructing the entire industry or something, but maybe just adding on or tweaking it. Or if it does these 6 things, but it doesn't integrate with something else, or it just doesn't do something else, if you can bridge that gap or find a way to add to it, you're solving a problem. And either you'll be brought in as maybe a vendor, or maybe they'll just buy out the idea from you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, good stuff. I love it. Now, I want to be respectful of your time. I think we're at like 35 minutes right now. But is there anything that, if you were a business owner or an entrepreneur, that I didn't ask you, what is it something that we can convey to them, whether it's now going through what we're going through now, or just if it was like regular time? What if you were somebody who had the opportunity to speak to someone like you, what is the question that they should ask you?
Okay, well, there's 2 things in that. The first one is a third point that I'd make you asked for 3, so I'll give you the third one. This is really what I call look big, act big, become big. And so this is around perception. And so when I'm at conferences, I'll ask, show of hands, how many folks in the room have a business email address that ends in Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, if you want to date yourself, RCN, AOL, et cetera. And 15% of the room raises their hands.
Yep.
And so my first point to them is, how serious can someone take you if you can't spend $5 to get your domain email address, right? And where it's you@yourdomain.com. And
Yep.
so oftentimes people don't do that just simply for the email address. It goes beyond that to look at brand yourself, and make sure, you've got like branded clothing. If you're going to go to a trade show and may not have a booth initially, we were walking the floor, we still had branded clothing on. So people could ask us, oh, what's Constant Contact? You want to make sure that you sort of look professional. And then I guess the last key point here is that, we often have someone that's really strategic in our world that we want to call or have a meeting with. And I'll ask, show of hands, how many of you have someone like that? 100% of the room raises their hand.
Nice.
And so the issue is that we hesitate to call them or go meet with them, whether it be a strategic or important customer or a partner or an investor or a possible mentor or an employee. Like, we hesitate because we're like, well, we're not ready yet. Our product needs a little bit more of this. The website, we're working on it, but it needs a little more of that. We come up with all these excuses, and my point is that if you're gonna, you need to call them right away. There's no reason to be waiting, so no hesitation. But if you do have any hesitation, that energy and that they're going to feel that in the meeting, they're going to feel it through the phone, and so you have to find a way to get yourself fired up and have positive energy going into that call. And so there's some things you can do that are very simple. You can hug or, kiss a loved one. You can, call your best friend. You can, pet a dog, hold a baby, like whatever, or sing your favorite song.
Yep.
Mine is Don't Stop Believing Journey. And oftentimes at conferences, they put it on and make me sing it. So we won't do that here.
Yes.
But the bottom line is you get yourself fired up. Then you go ahead and you make the call, or you go have that meeting. And then if you have a successful call, for example, what do you do next? And I'd ask the question, everyone's like, celebrate, and I said, nope, make another call.
That's right.
You have that positive energy. You've just had success. Make another call and another call and another call. And then at the end of the day, celebrate like crazy.
Nice.
But you want to make sure that you have that positive energy and they can feel it through the phone. And if you don't, and you have hesitation, it's like you go to a friend's house and they say, hey, hold the baby, hold the new baby. And you're like, I don't want to hold the baby. And then you grab the baby and it starts crying. Yep. The bottom line is the energy will be felt. So find a way to kind of work your way through that. So that's the first thing. And then specific to your question around what should someone, ask someone like myself, when you're in conversations with somebody, lead with value, lead with an ask. Don't lead with, let me tell you everything about myself and my business, and stop me when I told you something that sounded interesting. So you get people that walk up and just want to talk. And they first of all, don't know the audience. Like, it doesn't matter what they heard, from the intro of a podcaster on stage. It doesn't matter any of that. They should get to know like the person and understand the role that could play. So for example, someone could walk up and say, I have this idea and I'm looking for investment. Would you invest? It's in an industry I would never walk into, don't know it, have done nothing in it. But if they actually walked up and said, and said, I would welcome your feedback. Love everything you said. I have a question or two for you, if you wouldn't mind. Add some value back to that person, and say, what can I do for you? Like, you've done so much in paying it forward, Alec. What can I do for you? Are you looking to get on other stages? A friend of mine hosts a conference. Are you looking for other investment? What are the industries that you specifically invest in, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you lead with that kind of value, then you're going to have a very warm conversation with somebody who sees that you're sincere, and not just somebody who's going to walk up thinking that the person in front of them is a potential investor, mentor, or whatever. So don't assume anything. Just kind of lead with some value and an ask of that person to get the conversation flowing. And then you might find out that, this is out of my expertise. It's out of my area of interest. But guess what? I have a friend over here who's in your field and knows it well. Let me connect you guys. So that'll happen. Those things will happen if you approach it correctly.
I love it. Adding value first, because when you go up to somebody who's already successful, and that's one misnomer. Somebody who's successful today, oftentimes it took them 5, 10, 15 years to get there. So what you've gone through mentally and emotionally and business-wise, they understand. But they're probably at a point where, their mind is just at a different place than somebody who's just starting out. So, and they get hit on all the time for business advice and people trying to sell them something and invest in them. So when you break that mold and you come up there and you offer something first of value, even if you can't provide that, but somebody who can, you have a friend or an associate and you can put them together, he or she is going to remember that you led with that value. And then they're going to turn around and go, well, by the way, what's your name? What do you do? And then you can lead into that. But now it's a different type of conversation than you just they hear it all the time. You know what I mean?
So I just, and so being the inaugural interview on the Success Secrets Revealed, which I appreciate being your lead up first.
Thank you for going right on me. Thank you for going right on me.
And also, I assume you've led with value, and since it's my birthday, you've sent me a gift. I think I hear the doorbell, and I want to just thank you in advance.
I don't know if this is a gift or not, brother. Right, but here it goes.
This is a gift. Any opportunity to speak is a gift. So
I hear that. Well, here's an additional gift, and this may or may not be a gift. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Alec. Happy birthday to you. So
perfect. You are my first song of the day. Thank you for that.
Really? It's already like almost 2:00.
I know, but I'm not answering my phone. I'm present. I'm present. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good stuff, man. I've known you for years. You're a great person. You have incredible business smarts, but beyond that, man, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You're really a great guy. I can't believe, especially if people are on my feed, the vast majority of people on my feed are either family members or other people who are business owners, entrepreneurs. And then you have, some other people. I'd be hard pressed to believe that people don't know who you are, but I strongly encourage that if they don't, or, they know you, but they don't really know you that well, they just know your name, reach out. What's the best way that somebody can contact you if they wanted to, or follow you on your social media? I know in the description it'll be there, but what do you feel is the best way?
So the best, there's two things. One, the first is to reach out. I have a website, so Alec Speaks, ALEC, speaks.com. There's some more stuff there. And I have if you're okay, I'll offer a gift out to the listeners.
I would love it.
Some of the tips I provided are part of the sort of these pillars to success, achieving success that I have. And if they want to text the word pillars, all capitalized, PILLARS, to 59925. So 59925. There's a workbook that has a series of other pillars and description, and they can kind of think through some of the other areas that certainly in the earlier days when we had less. There's more things we didn't have than we did, and what do we do to set ourselves apart, and some of the things to focus on, and and it applies to both existing businesses and startups. So again, pillars to 59925.
I love it, and thank you. I wish I had known earlier, because you see the ticker tape down the bottom?
Yeah.
That's a cool little feature. I could have put down your offer down there, so people would have just seen it streaming. But thank you so much. I just wish I could have.
Well, you can type it in the comments on the live. And
there you go. Yep. And yeah, that's good. There's a good idea on the live. But absolutely, thank you so much. And so we often joke about the 5 pillars, but it's not the 5 pillars of success, right? That's just the Boston hard to learn mentality that I've developed.
Yeah. You only remember 5, but there are more.
And it's ALEC. Right, because oftentimes in the very beginning, my own faux pas is I was calling you Alec, right? Alex, and instead of Alec. Yeah.
Okay. I have family that get my name wrong, so it's okay.
Yeah, and you told me, Ron, it's like smart Alec. That's how you say it. That's right. Now, also, you were a drummer and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about your drumming escapades? I've seen you drum at events and concerts with knives and having a ton of fun and karaoke night, right? But that's, another story. But you've also been with some pretty big band members, haven't you?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends that are musicians. I started when I was 8 as a drummer, so I'm a hacker and a professional musician wannabe, but not something I would ever subscribe to just because it's a grind. But I am fortunate to jump on stage and, for example, I wanted to play at the House of Blues in Boston, and that was on the bucket list. And in 6 weeks, I played there twice with 2 different bands. So,
wow.
So as people come through, I do have the opportunity to jump up and do a ceremonial few songs. And oftentimes the drummer is a singer. So when I jump up, he gets to go up front and be a showman, which you don't get to do sitting behind a drum set. So I've had a few instances where 10, 12, 14 songs in, I'm like, okay, I've had my fill. They're like, no, just a couple more. Because they want to just stay up and be the showman to the audience. So, yeah. But it's been great. And a lot of conferences I've attended, we've called it out on stage, at the event that I'll be playing that night with the local band in Vegas and Reno. And so the attendees all come and listen. So it's been a lot of fun.
I love it. Now, one last question, if you don't mind. I probably should have asked it, but it's kind of good that we're weaving in and out. You know what I mean? Was it was it the Shark Tank members, or was it a different company that didn't invest with you in the very beginning? And sometimes you'll see them when you walk up and down Comm Ave, and they'll just shake their head as it was one of their biggest mistakes in not investing. Yeah,
so no, we weren't on Shark Tank, and I've been invited with some of the other companies that I've been involved with as of late. But and maybe one day that'll make sense. There has to be sort of right time, right opportunity, and for them and for the startup to go on the show. But Mr. Wonderful lives a couple of blocks away, and so I bump into him now and then. And I've been on stage and have met at conferences, most of the other sharks. But in terms of constant contact, we went through talking to several investors early on, and we had a lot of challenges when we started, where they would challenge and say, well, no one's going to use email as a marketing tool. Everyone already has like an inbox, they can just message through. No one can sell to small businesses. With Main Street, you're going to need an army of salespeople. And, the list went on to kind of why people would, say that it just didn't seem like a good investment. But so to me, a no means not now. I don't take no. I never heard no. I don't, when I was a kid, that my mom will tell you that was a challenge because I never heard no. I just said not now. If I wanted ice cream and I didn't get it at lunchtime, I was going to make sure I got it at night. So whatever it was. But anyway, so we took those no's and didn't let it defeat us. Because to me, a no meant not now. So it was just okay. That's fine. Got it. Understand. We ask why and sort of really understand that. But what really motivated us was to go to our target market and hear that after what their goals and objectives and us bringing the solution to them, if we could do this for them, would they have success? And the answer was yes. We saw them get wide-eyed. that was the motivation we needed to keep going. And so, when it's really tough, the tried and true entrepreneur, the one who really wants to do this, will write it out and find a solution and work around it, and hook or crook, they'll make it happen. And there are others who just would want to give up. And I tell you, the opportunities and the moments in time to when you want to give up are often. And I guess the one thing I would just say is, obstacles occur in everything in life, but especially when you're starting a business. And so when we get to a point where there's an obstacle, we walk into the office in the morning, we have a blank piece of paper, we write the obstacle on the top, we put a little box to the left of it and hope we check it by the end of the day, and we get busy and we don't. We walk in the next day, we put the obstacle on the top of the sheet again. And you have to figure out how to deal with the obstacles, right? You need to break them down into smaller pieces, get some wins out of solving it. But understand, you're not the first one that had that problem. That problem has been around, and there are people that have failed trying to solve it, and there are people that succeeded. Go ask for counsel of others to say, okay, how do I break this one down? Because it's really important that you figure out how to get into a rhythm of knocking down obstacles, because sitting behind it is a bigger one. And you have to be able to break that one down and knock it down, because behind that one's an even bigger one. And this becomes muscle memory, where you work through these things. So whether it's no's initially for possible investment or partnering or what have you, it was just a function of time. And then we'd come back around, and many of those folks we worked with in one way or another. Some with investment, but more importantly with like partnerships and other things. So just really figure out kind of what's in front of you with that obstacle and tackle them, because the bigger one sitting behind it, those are the things that break people. And that's true in life in general. And so we can't go through life having the obstacle on our shoulder. We got to figure out how to break it down. And today, even more so, when all of a sudden our lives have been uprooted, where no income coming in, or our business, what are we going to do? We've got employees we got to pay, but we're not getting revenue. We've got family matters and issues. We got tuitions. We got all things that, how are we going to deal? It's like, figure out how to break down those obstacles and find a way to solve them, or at least box some of them in that don't necessarily need to be dealt with today. And there's a lot of people that are giving great advice around how to deal with that, out on the internet today.
I love it. And that's so important, man, because one of the things about being an entrepreneur, if you look the word up itself, it says the ability to withstand risk. And, and if you can get problem solving, I can't tell you how many people, back in the day, I used to do managed services. So I knew the stuff inside and out, but I knew that people wanted the assurances. So I went and I got certified for a whole bunch of different things, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, all Microsoft certified, this, that, and the other thing. But I can't tell you how many times that I would find somebody, even if they were in the school with me or they had recently graduated, they had the same certs, but they read it 1, 2, 3, but they didn't know how to solve a problem. They knew that the book said 1, 2, 3, but oftentimes in real life, the solution to a problem isn't 1, 2, 3. You have to be able to have a mindset to solve the problem. And then, like you said, it's muscle memory. The more you get used to having a solution providing mindset as they come up, instead of just seeing them, I mean, yeah, they are like a little bit of a wall, but you're going to be able to see them as, okay, how do we solve this, instead of how is this going to cripple me?
Exactly.
All right, brother. Anything else you'd like to say? I mean, it's happy birthday. If I was there, I'd be bringing you a cake, annoying you. Just so the people know, Alec lives about 30 minutes away down the street here. So I often go down there and hang out. Not as much as I'd like to, certainly during this time, but we'll be back on track soon, brother.
Yeah, we will. And no, I appreciate it. Everyone's asking today, what can I get you? What can I send you? And I've got what I need in life. So the answer is I don't need anything. And just the gift of friendship and businessship and all the stuff that comes our way. And of course, just health and happiness. So I'll take those things today. And it's a full day. I wouldn't mind a piece of cake or a cupcake, but hey, that could wait.
Hey, there's a real fancy cupcake place down on Newberry Street. I don't think they're open though, are they?
I wish that was essential. It is for me today.
Nice. All right. So, and it's going to be hard to top when somebody wants to give you a gift today or give you something. It's going to be hard to top being on the maiden show of the Success Secrets Revealed.
That is so true. So this is so far today. This is the highlight.
Excellent, brother. Alec, you have a great day, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Yeah,
all right.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day again. Bye for now.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Bye-bye.